50 years ago, the United States was involved in the Vietnam War. 3 local veterans remember their time in the service and the reaction the country had towards them. Conway resident Ken Pingator joined the U.S. Navy and served in several areas, including Da Nang in the early 1970s.
Went through one rocket attack there on December 26, 1972. 6:05 a.m. the North Vietnamese fired some rockets at the base, and one landed right beside me. And good thing I was behind 2 rows of sandbags, and it didn't hit me. So I'm just lucky.
Monaca native Bill Lochner was on his way to Vietnam in 1966 with a medical outfit, the 50th Clearing Company. He soon found temporary duty in the 93rd Evacuation Hospital as a laboratory technician.
And I spent, I guess, 2 months at 93rd Evac and had my eyes open to the casualties of war.
Previous to his assignment in Vietnam, he had been at Fort Benning, Georgia, with a helicopter company, where he got a chance to know many of the pilots.
I'm in the 93rd Evac Hospital in a ward one day, and I hear somebody say, "Lochner." And I looked down, and it was one of the pilots. And he said to me, "Can you help me out?" I said, "Well, sir, what can I do? Can you get me a pillow to put under my foot?" I looked down, and there was no foot. I'm going to be extremely honest. I didn't know how to handle that. I said, "Sir, let me check it out," and I never went back. I feel guilty to this day, but I couldn't do it.
Larry Googans grew up in a military family in Portland, Maine. When he received a 1A draft notice, he decided to take exams in both the Navy and the Air Force to become an officer. He passed. He entered the Air Force and became a weapons system officer, flying in an F-4 fighter. He was sent to Vietnam in 1969.
I would take off out of a very safe environment. Karat Thailand's about in the central part of Thailand, and it was very safe and protected. We did not get rocket attacks. We did not have enemy around the base. So I was able to take off in a very safe environment and then go fly in Vietnam and Laos, and the missions occurred there, and then go back to land at a relatively safe area. My experience in a year over there was much easier than most of the individuals in our Vietnam Veterans chapter. I will say that I probably got shot at more than anybody in our chapter, though, because on any individual mission, we probably got shot at anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times. But you go fast, and the bullets are behind you. So fortunately, I was able to survive all of that.
All 3 men experienced similar interactions with the American public on their return home.
Back when I was a kid, and you would see somebody in uniform, my father would pull over and pick them up, okay? It wasn't that way during the Vietnam War. One time, I was coming out of New Jersey, trying to get on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, had my uniform on. I could not get a ride. I can remember crawling over the guardrails at night, putting civvies on so I could get a ride. Car after car would pass you. It was very disheartening.
Both Larry and Ken had experience with anti-war protesters at the San Francisco International Airport.
All of a sudden, people started chasing me and 2 Marines. They started chasing us, and these stewardesses saw us and got us into a stewardess lounge, closed it and locked the door. They called security, and then they got them out of there, and then they let us out, and we walked down to our gate and checked into our aircraft to come back to Pittsburgh.
I never physically, people have heard about saying spit on, I never physically, that didn't happen to me, but there were signs and there were people there demonstrating against the military, of course. And we all pretty much faced it in some way. I am embarrassed, if you want now, to say that I went into the men's room, took off I had a flight suit on because I was flying. Took off my flight suit, changed into civilian clothes to get on a civilian aircraft to fly from San Francisco back to Portland, Maine, because I didn't want to continue to hear that. And so I took my uniform off. I think the three of us will attest, and every member of our chapter will attest that our mission, one of which is that no veteran ever, ever has to take the uniform on in their own country. As far as, I'm sure I can speak for the three of us, we were doing what we were asked to do, and we came back to an unwelcome nation. If I was called again, I'd do it again.
To this day, I tell everybody the same. I'm not sorry that I went. I'm proud to have served my country, and I would do it again if I was asked.
Today, Larry, Bill, and Ken are a part of the local Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 862.
I found a home. Okay, I joined a chapter in 2001, but I found a home. Guys that went through the same experiences that I went through.
And the motto of the Vietnam veteran is, never will one generation abandon another. It's very important, and we have made trying to help the new veterans and things like that, you know, so they never experience what we had to experience. And I will never see that again, I don't think.